example. Today, we have a very common problem with our youth. What's the problem? First of all, not everyone religious, we understand. So, some people becoming religious. Now they go on a date. After a date or two, they cannot hold themselves. Now they decided that they really want each other. They see chemistry. They see some love is being created. And he's thinking, that's going to be my wife. And she's thinking, I'm going to marry this guy. And what happened? Instead of holding themselves 2, 3, 4 months until they finally become legally married, they begin to touch each other. He holds her hand and a little bit, her arm, or he walks with her on the street, so he touches her back a little bit. So he's thinking, God doesn't care about touching her hand. Well, come on, it's not Iran here. It's the 21st century here. But surprisingly, it always starts with the hand, and the next day it's the arm, and then it's the shoulder, and then it's the face, and then she has to become a murderer when she make an abortion 2, 3 months later. What made her murderer and him, both of them? What made them murderers? That he puts his hand on her hand for the first time. If he would listen to God not to touch her, or she would listen to God not to let any man touch her until her wedding, not to talk about the future will be beautiful and everything in her marriage will be fantastic with great harmony and peace, because God would be so proud of this modest girl that she listens to me and she didn't let a man touch her until she became officially a kala, a wife. Of course I'm going to bless her. What's the question? What, I'm going to punish her for holding her desire not to go and make sin and let any man touch her? Of course. She's going to get the best blessing. What do you think? You do what God told you and you get punished for it? What's going on here? Why people come to the wrong conclusion? Let's call Shomer Negia. Watching that nobody touch you. She has red lines. She never let a man make a full sin with her. Of course. Now, Rabbi, come on. It's in our family, we were very observant. My father will kill me if he find out. But she doesn't understand that all the full sins that ended up very bitter started with a little touch and a hug and then a little kiss, and then it leads to things that's it. They cannot control themselves. And even if it didn't end with a murder or an abortion or anything like this, or a horrible disease or who knows what, once they finally get married, even not to each other, each one separately. She went in the end marry another guy, and he went and marry another girl. They're going to suffer for the rest of their life for these sins. You cannot get away with that. Because you started it corrupted, rotten, the foundation of your life is rotten, it's not stable, you suffer for the rest. You cannot build 100 floors on foundations that are weak or crooked or who knows what. But we're lucky that God gave us the option to make repentance. Many of us could make sins, and then one day we wake up and say, you know what, I didn't know these things. My parents never told me. The public school I went to, the opposite, they encourage these things. They just tell you, don't do the right thing. Just make sure you don't get sick. They tell you all kinds of advices. You can make sins. They're not against it. Just make sure it's safe, the sins, that you won't end up dead in a few months. And the kids, that's the way they raise them. Nobody tells them the truth. Nobody tells them. Did you ever ask yourself how the Hasidim, they meet 1 hour, they get married, and they have the lowest divorce rate in the entire world? No other nation, no other city in the world has lower divorce rate than the Hasidim. And I say especially Hasidim, not other religious people. By other religious people that are modern, that they mingle and mix with the Goyish society, they pay the price. The Hasidim, they block themselves from the world. Sometimes they lose in certain things, I'm not saying no. But when it comes to modesty, when they finally meet each other, they get married and have no problem. You should see. I saw now, I was in Toronto. I saw a couple of Hasidim there, husband and wife. I like to follow things. I always like to back up what I teach. In reality, I want to check if it's really true, all the statistics that they say. You should see. Fantastic marriages. You see how the wife talks to the husband, how he talks to her, how the kids love their parents, how that's together. And they only met an hour and they got married. No, how can it be? Very simple. The answer is like this. When a person tries many things, he gets confused. When there's the time to make a final choice, he doesn't know what to choose. He saw 50 cars. One guy was working in a car wash. So I told him, what car you recommend I should buy? I tell you the truth, I drove more than 100 different cars. Maybe this one is good. No, this one. No, wait, this car is better. Well, in 1 hour, he already told me maybe 20, 30 different names. I say, you know what, you got me more confused now. What is it? I'll explain to you what I mean. When a person grow up, age 15, 16, he start making sin. Jews, non-Jews, clubs, these, drugs, alcohol, parties. It seems that he enjoy for a certain period of time. But then when the time comes to get married, almost all of them get divorced right away. They can't hold the marriage. Why? When you got mixed with so many different things, you always compare your wife or your husband to what you've been experiencing in the past. And it drives you crazy, and there's always problem, and you're never satisfied. But this kind of kids is 18, 19. First time in his life he talks to a girl. I know it sounds very primitive, but we are not saying what God told us to do. What do you think? God is primitive? He doesn't know what he's talking about? The creator of relationship doesn't know what's the best recommendation? He made a man, he made a woman, he made the marriage institution, he made everything. And he tells you this is the only way. Not the best way, but there are other good ways. The only way. Pay attention. Sometimes you have few good ways. You open a business like this, you make $1 million a year. You open that business, you made 100,000. No, so what? So you made 800,000. It's not, it doesn't have to be perfect. Over here, it's either everything or zero. There's no other alternative way. That's what people don't understand. It's either the way of God or nothing will work. So he never spoke to a girl in his life. They watch their eyes. They sanctify their name by learning Torah, mikveh, everything. Their entire environment is clean. And all of a sudden, what happened? One day, they put him in front of a girl. For the first time in his life, he sits face to face with a girl. Not the prettiest in the world. Not, like the best bargain. Right away, he's so excited from her, because he doesn't know what to compare her to. And that's a connection that will stay forever. And the same thing by her. She never spoke to a guy. Sometimes you wonder, you see, among the Ashkenazim Hasidim, their wives, if they would not be religious, each one of them would be Miss Universe with their beauty. There's beauty that is very hard to find. And they meet guys with long beards that everyone say, how can it be? I mean, these guys are not handsome like in a magazine or in the movies. How this woman, like she will get the best movie stars. Because we are thinking in a rotten way, the way we were raised in the rotten society. By them, it's all spiritual. It's different than what we have. This is what